In this episode of Mountain Bike Exploring, we are going to check out Ames Nowell State Park in Abington, Massachusetts. And as you can see, we will be doing a loop around the entire pond. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. This is a great state park. There are tons of trails all through here, lots of technical trails. But starting out here in the parking lot, we're going to take the loop trail around the pond. So let's look at some of the ride stats here. This was July 29th, the end of July. We started at 75 degrees in the morning, 8 a.m., ended at 83 degrees, 4.31 miles, 43 minutes to get around here. Definitely a doable goal for those who want to do this loop. I am riding a Scott Spark mountain bike. I have a GoPro 11 on, which has excellent image stabilization, which you will see in this video. And last but not least, we have some Deep Woods Off on to keep the ticks off. So let's check out this ride. So as we're driving through here, one of the great things with a mountain bike is you do not need to stay on the trails. You can drive over the grass, you can drive over the rocks, you can drive wherever you want. We're coming from the Ames Nowell main parking lot, and we'll be going down to the path here and taking a left. Every time we have something good happen on our ride, we're going to go ahead and give it a little bike horn. And when a friendly pedestrian gives me a wave, I will go ahead and give that a horn. That was nice of them. That does not always happen when you encounter walkers on a route. They sometimes do not like the mountain bikes. We come up on them kind of quick and can scare them. Real pretty bridge right here. And we're going to continue around the pond. You can see off to the right there the water view. The reason why we call this the money view is because this trail basically stays with the pond in view the entire time. There are some exceptions though. As you can see, these giant granite boulders, they're everywhere in here. And you could go straight right here, but we're going to take a left and go up the hill a little bit. As you can see on the map, that's where we have made it to. And the other trail, if we went straight, that would keep you right on the side of the water and eventually just end. And not good for a mountain bike, so we kind of went up to the left and around here. This is kind of a larger fire road trail. Lots of granite rocks everywhere we go. Again, I'm using a new GoPro 11 and I'm pretty impressed with the built-in stabilization. I used to have a gimbal that I would wear on my chest, and it was big and clunky, so to have this all done in the camera, pretty good. There's lots of these little bridges on this walk to get you over the mud. Kind of a technical trail as well, lots of rocks to get around, but if you're looking to go out under an hour and to have a beautiful ride with lots of scenery and lots of interesting things, this is a great trail to go on. Again, I'm here about 8 in the morning, so we're not going to see a lot of people walking. That could be kind of sketchy when you're going through these tight single track trails and you come across a pedestrian. So this is a good time of day to do this. There was a lot of rain before this ride, so there is mud on the trail, and when we get to the water features, there's a lot more water than normal. I actually love that. I think it's great. Because this is mountain bike exploring, we also like to see if there's any type of history or anything located in the woods. We do find something that would be considered historical that will show up a little later in this video. But as you can see, we're still on this main trail, and in this point I want you to go ahead and take that right hand turn right there, because if you go left you'll miss the ability to get on this bridge that brings us on the other side of the pond. So as you'll see in a moment here, taking that right turn and going through some of the mud brings us up to a bridge right here, and this is going to bring you up on one of the back sides of the pond. As you can see here in the map, this is where we'll be traveling across at the moment, and it's a beautiful bridge and you can get a lot of speed on here. And again, if it's later in the day, you have a possibility of running into a person back here, but I think we're out early enough and we don't see many people. So we're just going to go uphill a little bit here. I do have some graphics that if we have a very steep uphill or a very steep downhill, we will show the graphics on the screen as well. But just so you know, there's a lot of ups and downs, and here's a down right here. Get stuck in the mud right there for a moment. And again, off beyond the trees there, that is all water view of the pond. Just a beautiful, beautiful scenery all the way through here. Trying to turn my body so you can see that. Just a beautiful ride all the way around the water. At some point coming up here, we're going to go ahead and take a left and cut across the high tensions. Now, you don't want to miss this left. It is pretty tight, so let's look out for that coming up soon. Lots of rocks, lots of granite, lots of features. Again, in Ames Nowell, there are lots of crisscrossing paths that are off of this trail that go on for miles and miles and miles. And when you get on those, you'll see other mountain bikers on those technical trails. They're actually really, really fun if you find yourself on them. Coming up here is the left. It is quick. Make sure you go left here, because if you go right, you're just going to end up at a fishing hole and it's going to end. But if you take this left right here, it's going to bring us up into a clearing, into the high tensions. These high tensions go all the way across the water. And because it is late July, all the grass has grown up really high around here. And it's just a beautiful sight to be out. As we get up into this clearing, I am just going to stop the bike for a moment, take in the views. There's the high tensions going across the water there. We will end up on the other side of that soon, and we'll show you how to get there. And the trail, and you can look on the map where we are, we're right at that gray area. The trail picks up on the left up here. So make sure you go left, and you'll see something cut across this grass here. But it's just beautiful and long. Make sure you have some off on so you're not taking ticks home with you with any of their diseases and plagues. And you're going to go straight across into the woods and pick up the trail again from here. Kind of technical, a lot of rocks. I just suggest that you will always have some type of momentum to bust through these rocks, to bust through these obstacles. Try not to go too slow at any point. A lot of the old walls that you see in the woods here have fallen down, and then they just become obstacles that you ride over, like that one. And these trails are actually pretty fast. They move quick, even though there's a lot of mud and fun in them. This is a really good ride with a lot of diversity in it. I don't know why I love the mud. I really do. I love the water. Make sure you have a mud flap on your front tire so that it's not spinning up into your eyes. Now as we come up here, what we're going to do is we're going to eventually join a larger fire road. And we're going to be on that just for a minute. And once we're on that fire road, that will lead us to our next downhill destination. We really get into a hilly place coming up where we have a lot of downhills, we have a lot of uphills. And again, those will be shown with little icons that I show you there. But right up here, you're going to see that the trail joins to a fire road. A fire road is just something you could drive a vehicle down, and you can tell it has been. And we're going downhill a little here. And if there is a lot of water, this curve coming up is usually very wet. You can skirt around it on the left. Lots of momentum to get over this uphill bunch of rocks. And as we bust through here, this fire road kind of goes off to the left. We're going to take a right-hand turn and head back and go uphill just for a moment, backtracking. But then we'll quickly go left into a trail right here that it looks like someone raked and has kept up very well. And this will get us to the top of a hill where we're going to shoot downhill and get right into some wooden bridges. Again, you want to keep your momentum and try not to stop all the way through this. So we're pedaling kind of uphill over this rock wall. And then once we get to this place, we are going to start our turn downward. And this is all down. Sometimes you cannot tell that you're going downhill on a video camera, but this is that's pretty steep. And as I try to make the turn here, I went a little too wide and hung up my back tire. But here we go onto the next bridge. This bridge looks rotten, and if you hit the wrong board, you may fall actually through it. But this leads to a third bridge over the swampy area here. And at the end of this little bridge here, you're not going to go straight up the hill. You're going to take a right. Again, there's lots of trails in here. You could go straight, but we're going to continue around the pond. So we're going to hug tighter with the trails that are closer to the water. Again, the water is to our right. And as we get to any substantial type of hill, whether going up or down, I will go ahead and give you an icon. As you can see here, this is a real steep hill, and you're going to put it in a lower gear and just power your way up. My problem with steep hills on hot days is you get really overheated by the time you work your way up to the top of them. And there we go. We're at the top, and we're going to get a little reward of going down. A little speed here. Again, you can see all the rocks on this side. And in a technical aspect, you're trying to avoid a lot of these. Pick the right line so that you can move quickly. But for the most part, we're moving pretty quick. Back up a hill. Again, pick your line right so that you can not so you won't be hung up on any of these rocks. But we're going slow, but we're going. And this kind of curves its way all the way to the top here. And that one was steep as well. And yeah, I take my helmet off. I am just overheated. It's probably close to 80 degrees at this point in the temperature. I'm going to show you on the map where we are. And all the way around this feature here, and we are heading to that gray line, which is an open area of the high tensions on the other side of the water, which we just saw. So I'm going to go ahead and get my helmet back on, and we're going to get moving. Again, I always carry a backpack of hydration. Personally, I put in some watered down Gatorade in it. I'm not a fan of just water. I want to get some electrolytes, some potassium, and a little sugar that's involved to go ahead and power you through your ride here. And a little downhill reward here after that steep hill. Beautiful forest. Nice and muddy. And we're doing what we can to skirt around the mud. Now this is another downhill area here that's going to lead right to a bridge. It is steep and you pick up a lot of speed. And you want to make sure that as you get to the bottom here that you line up with this small bridge that is right here. Boom. And if you have enough momentum, you'll get up that first steep step, and if you have enough momentum, you'll get off the rocks there. And what happens, it brings you all the way to another uphill climb. I say take the left-hand side, it's a little cleaner, but you're just powering through in a very low gear. As you get to these rocks, it's a place where you can get hung up pretty easy. So again, make sure you pick your lines so that you're not getting stuck. And off in the distance you can see a clearing there. That's going to be the high tension wires. That's where we're heading for. So there's a little downhill reward right here for your uphill climb. And as we come out into this clearing here, you are literally on the other side of the water where you were just looking minutes ago. That's where we were a little bit ago. And again, this is a great trail. Just kind of hugs all the way around the water area here at Ames Nowell. I guess it's called a pond. I'm not sure. Maybe they call it a lake. But just beautiful. Any time of year, beautiful. As we head into this other section, this is a section that is less traveled on this side of the pond. So you're going to see a lot more leaves on the trail, maybe an ability to get lost a little more, and it does get swampy. But we do have our little archaeological find here as well. You want to take a left there. Again, if you took a right, it just terminates at the pond. And it's hard to see on the video, but there is a pretty plain trail for you to see. And when you get up to this next trail, turn right. What I'm seeing right there is a deer. I know that you can't see it. It's hard on these action cameras to actually see it, but we're going to go ahead and give ourselves a little wildlife reward. There's actually two of them. I waved to them. They didn't wave back. I don't know why. But it's always a good reward when you're out in the woods to see some wildlife. Again, the road splits here. On the right, there's a little bridge that terminates over the water if you're interested in looking at that. If you want to go around the pond, though, you want to take a left here. Again, you're going to see a lot of mud and technicality on this side of the pond. Now, one of the cool things that we find right here, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the exact locations if you're interested. There is actually a foundation to an old house or a building right up here in the woods. I noticed that the last time I was here. So we're going to get off the bike and actually look at this foundation. If you're someone who wanted to look into this a little more, you could bring a metal detector, you can bring a shovel, you could probably find some artifacts. But if you look here, you can actually see the stone structure of a foundation. We're going to give ourselves a little history bonus right here. But you see the rocks all piled up on each other and kind of sitting in the hole of what this structure used to be. And I'm going to show you on the map the exact coordinates if you're interested in finding this place. And it is right there on the pond. And as we're looking out here. There's also another sighting of wildlife. There are 3 deer staring at me up here over the hill. Just because I have this action camera with a wide look, we're not able to see it. I point one more time at that foundation, and then we're going to go back down. The cool thing about New England is we do have a lot of history. Some of it is recent history, some of it is hundreds of years old from the colonial times. All of these were farms separated by walls that are out in these woods, and then from time to time you're going to find the foundation to a building, a storage area, or an actual home. Something worth looking into it. This is mountain bike exploring. We like to look at that stuff. We're going to get off our bikes, we're going to explore it. But again, back on the trail, on the muddy side of the back of the pond here, a place where not many people go. Again, take a left here when you get to that fork, and we're going to continue along the trail here. It does go up a little bit. You can't always tell on the video, but this does go up, and at this point, when we come to this wall here, we're going to go ahead and switch places, and we're going to follow the trail on the other side of the wall. Make sure you make that transition, or you'll end up somewhere else. And here's where it gets a little more difficult. You want to be in a lower gear. You want to make sure you have some momentum because it gets very rocky, sometimes rooty. And one of the things I like to do is to never stop my bike. I don't care if we're going through a tight situation, I don't care if we're driving through water and mud, just try to power through. And as you can see right here, I get to a little water area, and we just begin to just power through it. And it's pretty muddy, but just so you know, if you come up on this trail, you can ride through this area. It looks like it is not a trail, but this is a trail. And I picked the wrong side of the tree right there, that skinny little tree. And what I want to do is I want to drop down right to the right here. And again, this is a trail. So you're not going to sink into the mud. You're going to be able to actually drive right across through here, like you see me doing right now, and pick up the trail on the other side. Yay, made it. And we can see the high tension wires, but we want to take a right here and continue on the path that's through here. Again, not a well-traveled path, but there is a path here, and it is pretty plain. Very technical, but if you're able to stay on your bike, stay to the right there, you're doing a good job. Hard to see in the video, but when you are out there, you'll actually see a path emerging before you. I would guess in the fall this might be harder to do, but all of this is a path, and we're going to keep on following it. What we're trying to do is take a wide turn around the back of the pond, because the pond is very mucky and muddy back here, and if you don't go wide, you get caught in the mud. And again, we're seeing some mud there that we're going around. And right here we come to a bridge that goes over the water, and this has submerged since the last time I was here. So what we're looking at ahead of me is actually a stone bridge that you're able to ride over, and usually if you have enough momentum, you never even have to stop. But what I'll do is I'll just ride right through the water, because I know this is a solid path right here. Don't fall off the bridge. I don't know what's to the right or the left. We're going to pop right up on this wooden bridge right here. And again, use your momentum to power off the other side. This is submerged as well, but it is a path and you can make it all the way over. We're going to get ourselves over to the hidden lean-to. If you made it this far, you're going to see a lean-to on your left that someone constructed. And that should be coming up right here. So there's a fire pit and a little shelter lean-to that someone put together out of logs. And again, we're going to follow the path. The pond is on our right. And so right here is an easy place to get lost. So you want to actually not go too deep in here. You want to take a left-hand turn onto the correct path. Now what I do in this video is I miss that left-hand turn, which is probably somewhere around here. And what I'll do is I'll continue straight, and what happens if you go straight in this muddy area of the pond, it just becomes a swamp and you're not really to go any further. So what I do is I get to a point and I realize, wow, this just keeps getting muddier and muddier, and I must have missed my turn. So what I do is I just stop. I'll show you on the map where we are. We're all the way on the backside where few brave souls dare to go, right around here. And what I have to do is turn my bike around and backtrack a little bit out, and I'm going to be looking for a right-hand turn out of here. So don't let my little debacle here dissuade you. You need to go on this ride and you need to go on this loop, and you will love it once you figure it out. But coming up here, I'm going to get back on a path, and then I'm going to see a right-hand turn, which is right here. And this will immediately bring me to a stone wall, and that's where I know that I'm going in the right direction. So with enough momentum, pop yourself over that stone wall, and you are back on the right track. So we have a nice single track trail here, and this is going to bring us to a few other muddy areas and a log bridge right here. And it's kind of slimy and wet right now, and I think I slide out a little bit and then back on the trail there. But again, keep the momentum going. Don't go too slow or you won't get over those. And this isn't actually, right here is a fun part of the trail where we have some nice technical things that go up and down on some rocks. And right here we're going to have a little elevation coming up that you're going to need to push through. And it's coming up right here. And if you get enough momentum, you're going to be able to power up these rocks. Right here it gets real steep for a second, but if you pick the right line and keep on pushing, you will never stop your bike. And then once we get to the very top up here, it kind of takes a hard left turn. That's coming up. Great technical trails up here. Here's the hard left turn. Give yourself enough speed just to take that turn, but not too fast, and then you get a little downhill reward here. Again, we're on the far swampy side of the pond. We are not hugging the pond very close at this point. We're circling wide around, but this path that I am on right now and showing you will get you around the pond. And this path travels up and down on top of some big granite rock formations. So it's pretty fun, because once you go up somewhere, you end up coming back down. And right here is a little tricky. As you come down in this little area right here, it's going to feed you onto a bridge pretty quickly. And if you miss your mark, this is a steep bridge. So I stopped because I was kind of heading in the wrong direction. And so you're going to fall down about 3 feet off that bridge if you hit it wrong. But again, this is going to bring you up to some built up rocks and an uphill climb. So keep your momentum going, watch your back tire that isn't hung up. And like you can see on my visual there, we are going up, up, up. And then it gets to a rock where I honestly have never been able to cycle all the way up on this rock because it gets pretty high. So at this point, I just push my bike up and lean it against a tree and take my helmet off for a second because I am really hot at this point, sweating all the way through. I take a quick break, take a drink, and then from here on down, this is a cool downhill ride down the rock formations. And this is going to lead you to a little bridge. and then up and over a stone wall. And when you come out to the main path, you want to take a left. We are back on track with the pond at this point. You're going to see a little clearing out here on the right, which makes me believe that this was some type of habitation at some point. The only reason I say that is because of the vegetation that's grown here. There's not a lot of trees. It looks like it was cleared. There are different types of trees, the kind that you would put around a house. But right here, right at the back of the pond, as we follow this trail, you're going to go over a tiny bridge that separates a little bit of the water from the left and the right back here. And we have our second archaeological find, which I find pretty exciting. Make sure you take this hard right turn right there after that little land bridge. And it brings us out to another clearing. Again, that makes me feel like this was inhabited by people, just because all the vegetation is so different. And there's actually a little history of bonus right there. There's actually a gravestone here. Now, I don't take a lot of time to read and try to figure it out. It's worn pretty good. And on the other side of the tree, there's a smaller gravestone, maybe a wife, maybe a child. But out here in the middle of Ames Nowell State Park, you're going to find an old gravestone in a burial site. If you look at my map, I will show you exactly where that is. And it's right here. One of the problems, though, that I think right around the grave there is all poison ivy, so please be careful. And as we come out of the grave, you go immediately into a water feature here, which normally I would plow right through and drive right through it, but this has had a lot of rain. This is really deep, so I get off my bike and kind of walk on the bridge that was made here. And you can see how deep my bike is right there. And I hold onto a rope to pull myself over the rest of this. Now this little water feature right here, again, normally you should be able to ride right through it. I would encourage you to do so. And we come up here, and there is a trail. It's a little hard to see here, but there is definitely a trail that you follow, and this will lead to a second water feature. And again, this is something that you usually can just power and ride right through. And so this is going to drop down into the water. Just hug it tight up onto this little island. Need a second area of water here, and I get stuck right in the tree there, pretty tight, but we just keep going. Now at this point, we're going to come up to a pile of rocks, and I don't have a witty name for these rocks, but we'll call them Squanto's rock pile. And right here, you're going to want to take a right. So I just put my foot on this for a moment. And right here, we're on our last long stretch along the lake. And what I'm looking for here, we're kind of on a fire road. This is something that a vehicle can drive down. And we're a little far from the water, so what I'm looking to do here is to pick up the water again and to drive in. And there's a trail that hugs the pond all the way back, and it's a really fun kind of technical trail. So as I'm riding through here, what I'm actually looking for is the clearing where I can jump back on the trail. And these trails ride really fast. Not a lot of rocks on them. And as we come up here, you're going to see a clearing that goes down to the water. You're going to see a park bench up ahead, and this is where we want to pick up our next trail. And so when you see that park bench, you're going to go ahead and take a left right in the woods there, and this is our last straightaway all the way home. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and increase the speed on here of the film a little bit. And this is a very technical trail. One of the things I encourage you to do is try to keep up your momentum. There's a lot of roots, there's a lot of rocks, other things that you want to jump over, and your goal should be to try to ride and not have to get off your bike. But as you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the map, We've made ourselves all the way around. On the far side of the pond here, we go wide out into the woods because it's all swampy. We pick it up again by the gravestone, and we're in this last straightaway along the pond. It is a beautiful ride with water in sight the entire time. But it is technical, and there are some places where you can get hung up, especially on some big boulders. But really fun way to end. So we're just going to keep this going in fast motion. Big rock right there. Usually get stuck there. Jumping over walls. Really surprised I haven't seen any other hikers. Usually around this side of the pond you'll see some people, but there's a lot of visual clearance so that you're able to slow down or not be a nuisance to the hikers and the walkers in the woods. On this trail we saw 2 historical bonuses. We saw 2 nature bonuses. Pretty cool. As we come out here, we're coming back into the parking lot area. There is a broken down wall. I suggest you kind of pop up through here on the left and then stay left to get yourself back on the main trail. Now straight ahead, straight ahead, you're going to see a field, and across that field and through the woods is the parking lot. What we're going to do is we're going to pick up the cement here, and I'm going to show you one last left-hand turn that can get us out into the parking lot. Earlier in our video, we rode across this lawn to get onto the start of the trail. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this left-hand turn right here. And this brings us back up into the woods, and then we're going to find a right-hand turn that's going to feed us out into the parking lot. Unfortunately, we get one sour lemons moment as we get up here. I experienced some walkers who, well, this guy, that's a friendly guy. That was good. He gets a horn. But we have some walkers who are right here who leave me hanging. I give them the hello, they don't wave, they put their heads down, they just at me. So we'll give them the lemon bonus. So getting to the end of the ride here, I just want to say if anyone has any comments about Ames Nowell State Park, please leave them in the video. I am very curious to hear your feedback. If you like this video, please subscribe, hit the bell so that you will see new video content come out when we are ready. Thank you for taking the adventure with us, and see you guys soon.